This is Larry Bonerato from LarryOnLearning.com, and today's message is America at 250. Can we keep it? As America celebrates the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, we honor far more than the birth of a nation. We celebrate one of history's greatest experiments in human freedom. In 1776, in our Declaration of Independence, the founders declared a revolutionary idea. Quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights." End quote. Notice where our rights originate, not from kings, not from Congress, not from the courts, but from our Creator. Government did not create them. Government was created to protect them. The simple truth that made America's founding unique among the nations that had come before it. But the founders understood something else that is forgotten today. Freedom cannot survive on documents alone. It depends on the character of the people. Let's examine 5 principles they believed were essential for a free people to remain free. First, liberty requires moral citizens. John Adams wrote, quote, "Our Constitution was made for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." End quote. Adams understood that no constitution can replace personal character. If citizens cannot govern themselves, government eventually will attempt to govern every aspect of their lives. Self-government begins with self-control. Rights require responsibility, and liberty requires virtue. Second, religion and morality sustain free government. George Washington reminded the nation of this in his farewell address. Quote, "Of the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports." End quote. Washington shared that freedom depends on an internal moral compass. Without integrity, honesty, and personal responsibility, laws alone will not preserve liberty. Third, knowledge protects liberty. James Madison observed, quote, "The advancement and diffusion of knowledge is the only guardian of true liberty." End quote. And uninformed people become vulnerable. Citizens who no longer understand their history, their constitution, or the principles of liberty are easily persuaded by promises that sound attractive but may ultimately weaken the freedoms they cherish. Education is not merely a preparation for employment. It is preparation for citizenship. Fourth, government protects rights. It did not create them. The Declaration of Independence continues, quote, "that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men." End quote. Notice the sequence. God grants rights. Government protects those rights. When that order is reversed, freedom becomes dependent upon those who temporarily hold political power rather than upon these enduring principles. Fifth, every generation must preserve liberty. As the Constitutional Convention convened and concluded, Benjamin Franklin was asked what form of government had they made. He replied, quote, "A republic if you can keep it." His famous reply still challenges every generation. Franklin understood that America's greatest challenge would not always come from foreign enemies. It could come from citizens who gradually forgot the principles upon which our republic was founded. Here are 3 questions worth asking today. First, if citizens lose the habit of governing themselves, what role will government eventually assume? Government fills the void left when we do not govern ourselves. Second, if we expect government to solve every problem, what responsibilities are we surrendering ourselves? And will total government protect your freedom or protect government itself? Third, if we allow political opponents to become enemies instead of fellow citizens, what happens to our constitutional republic? And how will our enemies exploit this division? These are not questions for one political party. They are questions for every American. The founders expected disagreement. They also expected Americans to preserve the constitutional principles that made peaceful disagreement possible. So what is our responsibility? Excuse me. As we celebrate 250 years of freedom, the question is not whether our Constitution is strong enough. The better question is, are we the people strong enough? Remember the statement from Benjamin Franklin, quote, "A republic if you can keep it," end quote. Keeping it begins before Election Day. It begins in our homes. It begins in our churches. It begins in our schools. It begins in our communities and also begins in our own hearts. Every American can help preserve this remarkable experiment in self-government by asking these 7 personal commitments. First, learn the principles upon which our nation was founded. Second, live with integrity, self-discipline, and personal responsibility. Third, teach your children and grandchildren not only their rights, but also their responsibilities to protect those rights. Fourth, serve your family, your community, and your country before serving yourself. Fifth, respect those that disagree with you, remembering that today's opponent is still your fellow citizen. Sixth, participate thoughtfully by voting, staying informed, and contributing to your community. And seventh, protect the freedoms entrusted to us not only for ourselves, but for generations yet to come. Freedom has never been self-sustaining. Each generation must choose whether it will merely enjoy liberty or preserve it. The founders gave us a constitution. They could not give us character. That responsibility belongs to us. The future of America will not be determined solely in Washington, D.C. It'll be determined in millions of American homes where parents teach responsibility, where citizens choose integrity over convenience, where neighbors serve one another, and where people understand that liberty only survives when free people willingly govern themselves. As we celebrate America's 250th anniversary, let's recommit ourselves to becoming the kind of citizens the founders believed a constitutional republic requires. Because the greatest gift we can give the next generation is not greater comfort, it is greater freedom. And freedom survives only when good people accept the responsibility to preserve it. Thus, remember this truth. Self-government always begins with self-control and personal responsibility. That is a legacy we must preserve. So happy birthday, America, and may God continue to bless our country and each of our citizens. If this message encouraged you, please share it with your children and grandchildren, family and friends. The principles that preserve liberty must be taught anew to every generation. This is Larry Bonaroto from LarryOnLearning.com. Happy birthday, America.